Circle has an infinite number of sides. It really doesn't have any sides, but they're at, if you could zoom in, you would see one of these really, really small things. I don't know if you've taken like a,
Because like the whole thing is kind of a side, I guess.
yeah,
Because it just
yeah. And
looks
if you've, like, I don't know if you ever looked at a microscope at certain things, when you zoom in, you start seeing stuff you don't even believe that's there, and it's because you can't see it. So there's just like with squares and rectangles, there's the perimeter, which they use a different name in circles. They call it the circumference. But perimeter means a walk around, go around the edge, and circumference is the same thing. So the circumference has a formula. It's the symbol pi. You've probably seen that before. Pi times the diameter. Okay. Now the diameter is the distance all the way across the circle. Is that okay? Okay. So in a really just a simple example here, let's say I tell you that the diameter equals 5 centimeters. The circumference is pi times 5. All right. Now, on almost all the classes that you're going to see, or books, things are going to say, they're going to say use 3.14 for pi. Have you seen that before?
Yeah.
So
Isn't
that
that
means
just like the usual formula or whatever for pi, unless you're like finding
yes,
the square?
it's an approximation, and it's good enough. You have to know to use it, and then you have to know its value. Maybe, I don't know if they don't give it to you, they should give it to you, but you need to take 3.14 and multiply it by pi. Or I'm sorry, 3.14 times 5, not pi.
So do you need to find, is that how you
You're
find that's the circumference, right?
Yes,
And
you're
then you
just
need
going to
to find the
multiply these two
diameter?
together. No, you have the diameter. Diameter is 5 centimeters. It's given.
Okay. And then so it's 15.7.
The 15.7, and then you need units of centimeters, for example.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay, so a couple more things here. One is in a circle, if you go all the way across, that's called the diameter, diameter. But if you only go halfway across from the center out, that's called the radius. Have you seen that before? Have you heard of that before?
I think so. I'm not sure exactly what it means.
So the relationship is that the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. Because if you added another radius, you started going the other way with the radius, you would go all the way across.
Okay.
So we'll do a few examples here to kind of make this clear. So let's assume, for example, that I give you a circle and I tell you that the radius is equal to 7 inches. Right? Well, the diameter is 2 times the radius, 2 times 7, which is 14 inches. Because if I go the other direction with the radius, that's another 7. 7 plus 7 is 14.
So you just double it?
So let me see if I can grab quick worksheet here to help. Trying to find a few practice problems real quick. Yeah, here we go. So here's a problem for us to look at. And you can see that the radius is given. This is the radius. Now you might wonder, well, how do I know if it's the radius? Well, the radius goes from the center to the edge.
So if there's a dot in the middle, then it's the radius.
It's not, they don't put the dot there, but it is there. Yeah. So the diameter is 2 times the radius. So what would the diameter be in this case?
8 centimeters.
8 centimeters. So it would be something like this. You're what my radius equals 4 centimeters, diameter equals 8 centimeters. That's how you'd want to present your answer.
Okay.
All right. So here's another one for you to think about. Oh, and then units. Don't forget about units. Meaning the answer contains units. It's like calling someone without their name. It's kind of weird. So what is the diameter here? And to answer that, you first need to determine the radius.
Is it 11 millimeters?
Yes. Radius is 5.5 millimeters. Okay, very good. Now, the circumference is pi times diameter. And it would tell you that to use 3.14 for pi. What is the diameter in this problem?
So it's 3.14 times 11. 34.54 millimeters.
Yeah. Good. Okay. I think you've got it now. Now, you can also go the other direction. Like if I give you the diameter, the radius is 1/2 the diameter. So let's
So
look at
it would be
an
the diameter divided by 2.
yeah. So in this problem, they're telling you that the diameter is 10 centimeters. What is the radius? Well, you have to cut that 10 in half. 10 divided by 2 is 5 centimeters.
And then if you wanted the circumference, you do the same thing where you would times that by 3.14.
Well, the diameter, pi times diameter. So you have to know this formula. You have to know this formula, maybe write it down, maybe memorize it. You want to definitely have that, in your toolbox of formulas. So which number to use? 3.14 times what in the problem if you wanted to find the circumference?
10.
Yes. Very good. Okay. So let me put a problem in front of you here. And these are definitely calculator problems. So there's 2 things I want you to find in this. I want you to determine, well, actually 3 things: diameter, the radius, and the circumference, please.
I got the diameter at 6.6, the radius is 13.2, and the circumference is 20.724 centimeters.
Which
No,
number did you
centimeters.
use? Which number did you use for the circumference?
Diameter.
So you did 3.14 times 13.2.
Oh wait, I think I had the radius plugged in second
Yes,
instead
that's
of
the easy
first.
it's the easy thing to do. So go ahead and try that one more time. The other thing here is to also have units, centimeters, and then
Yeah, I said all centimeters. 176.88
3.14 times
centimeters.
13.2 should be closer to like 40-ish.
Really? I put in my calculator. Maybe I
Try
think I'm
try
just
try it one
putting
more
in
time.
the wrong
Sometimes when you
numbers
reuse a
every time.
previous number, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, at 41.448, I was putting in 13.14 on accident because I was putting in wait. No, but that's the oh, I know what I did. I wrote down when I was writing down the diameter and the radius, I wrote them in the wrong spots. I wrote that 6.6
I
was
see.
I wrote
Yeah,
that.
just be careful there. So let's do another one here. Kind of ask you for the same, just ask you for the same things here. Determine the diameter, the radius, and the circumference, please.
.52 millimeters.
For what? Which one?
Oh, the circumference and the diameter would be 18 millimeters and the radius would be 9.
Okay, meters. M is for meters. And
Oh,
and we don't need to emphasize that, but that's part of this. And you said 50. Give me that number one more time for circumference.
56.52.
Good. Okay. Now, one more formula here. So the area of a circle is pi times radius squared. Okay, which means you square the radius first. And then second, you multiply by 3.14. Okay, the order does matter, order of operations, things we talked about. So here's an example. So here's the circle. The area is pi r squared. What is the radius for this one, Riley?
Mm.
What is the radius in this circle?
11.
11, yes. So just to be clear here, the way you calculate this is you square the 11 first. So 11 times 11 or 11 squared. then you multiply by 3.14. So could you give
I
us that
just,
number?
how would I like shorten the square root of 11? Because when I look it up, it says that it's
You
3 point like 31662 like a whole bunch of numbers.
squaring means that you multiply it by itself.
Oh, I thought it was finding the square root of it. Never mind.
So this symbol is for square root, which is what you're referring to. The squared means squared, multiply by itself.
So 121 and then
Multiply by
3.14.
Yeah.
So it'd be 379.94 centimeters.
Okay, so let's just say 379. Now the area is always centimeters squared. Right. Square. So you have a couple of formulas here. Let's have you do one on your own here. Give you this one more circle here. So I just want you to calculate the area of the circle, which is pi r squared.
'87 kilometers squared.
Very far away from the answer. What did you do first to calculate this?
Oh, I didn't add in it's like 87.92. I did 14 times 14.
Okay, what does that become?
196.
Okay, so if you multiply by 3.14, like you just said, like just reasonableness of your answer, which is something you want to start thinking about. Like this is about 200, that's about 3 times 200 is about 600. You gave me a number that's not really close to
What
that.
was my first answer again?
I don't know, you 87 something.
Oh, I don't know. I think I just might have put in the wrong number because I put in again and I got 1615.44.
Keep in mind that on the standardized test, when it's multiple choice, they're going to put in some answers that you could get by just what you said, like putting the numbers in wrong in your calculator. Some things as simple as dividing instead of multiplying. Yeah, these are engineered answers to be receptive, right? So whatever you get here, it's kilometers squared. Let's have you try one more, please, and take your time. There's no rush here. We're not in a hurry. Plenty of time here to get through everything. So go ahead and find the area, please.
Or 52.16 inches squared.
Excellent. Okay. So there's like a couple of formulas here to kind of summarize before we do kind of a few full problems here. So to summarize, the full problems are, we've just talked about this. Diameter is 2 times the radius. Right? So that's kind of formula one. The radius is 1/2 the diameter divided by 2. The circumference is pi times diameter. And the area is pi times the radius squared. Like that. So you need to know both of those formulas, or all 4 of these formulas. So recommend getting those down, and then we'll do some problems here if you want. Problems.
Okay.
Okay, so the problem I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you a circle, and then we're going to find all these things, radius, diameter, circumference, and area. That's kind of your, your worksheet problem here, where it tells you whether you've got it down or not. So let me grab a problem here. All right, so here is your first problem to try. I want you to determine the radius, the diameter, the circumference, and the area.
So I got the radius is 2 centimeters, the diameter is 4
Okay,
centimeters.
so we're gonna stop there. The diameter is 2 centimeters. The radius is
Wait,
one
is that not the
centimeter.
radius?
It's going all the way across. All the way across is the diameter.
Oh, never mind then. I don't have
Okay,
any of
so
them.
that's okay. So that's okay. Restart your calculations from here. That's why we're doing this. So yeah, it's really important that you've got, like, because they're easy to interchange, right? Is the diameter, double or half or double? You gotta somehow, come up with a way to where the diameter goes all the way across and the radius only goes halfway across.
How will I know the difference? Will it tell me?
You just look. I mean, it's like anything else. It's like whether a door is open or closed. You know the difference. If it goes all the way across, that's the diameter.
So it'll have that on the test, like if they show it?
Well, yeah, I mean that this line is showing you it's going all the way across. I mean, it's like when we drive on the road, right? That lines mean you can cross. Double, I mean, we can't. Like we know the difference between them. That's what I'm saying. You've got to somehow get to where you can differentiate between them.
But it wouldn't just like give me a number and not tell me if it was a radius or or the diameter, right?
It will tell you what it is, either in
Okay.
words or in the picture. Yeah, there's not you're not having to guess between them.
So is The circumference 6.28 and the area 3.14.
What about units here? What's the units of circumference
Centimeters
and area?
and centimeters squared.
Good. Good, really good. Okay, so I got another problem here queued up. This one's from your book. We'll do the same thing. So you got to find these 4 pieces of information, or so we want you to determine the radius, the diameter, the circumference, and the area.
And the radius 10 inches, the diameter 20 inches, the circumference 52.8 inches, and the area 314 inches squared.
Okay. Here's what the circumference is not correct. Circumference is not correct. So look at that one more time, please.
$62.8.
That would be correct. Oh, wonder why I did that. Okay, yeah, 62.8. Good. Okay, do you feel like you're getting the hang of this?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, so let's work a couple of word problems together, and then we'll go back to having you do a couple more of the full of them, full questions. So here's your standardized test practice here. So it says the radius of a circle is 6.5 centimeters. What I would recommend you do is draw a circle and draw the radius, 6.5, like that. What is the diameter of the circle in centimeters? What is the diameter of the circle in centimeters? So what is it if you go all the way across? What do you think?
13. Wait, is that an answer? Yeah. B.
There it is. Good. Really good. Okay. So actually, we can kind of have you do one more of these, and then we'll get to the actual problem. So here's a problem. I want you to determine the radius, the diameter, the circumference, and the area, please.
The radius 6 feet. Um, the diameter is 12 feet.
12 feet. Yep. Good. Keep going.
Is the circumference 37.68 feet?
Okay. Good. Keep going.
Why did I get the same answer?
It's not the same answer. So make sure you're using the right formula that you've written down a few times. Make sure you're using the right number for whatever you're using, whether it's radius or diameter.
$113.4
Okay. And what are the units
feet
of area?
squared.
Feet squared. Good. Okay. Now, let's actually look at the question. It does refer to this picture. But we're gonna look at the question here, and we can actually snip it in here without. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. If workers lay a tile border around the edge of the fountain, okay. So what does that mean to you when it says around the edge of the fountain?
Is the diameter?
The diameter is if you were to go all the way across.
Circumference?
Circumference. How many feet long will the border need to be? So this is asking for the circumference. Now, what's interesting to me is if you look at the answers, let's snip the answers in. I guess you can snip them right in here. Do any of the things you found line up with the answer?
Mm, D.
Which one?
No, that says 57, not 37. C.
C. Yeah. So this one is the answer. I notice it's the only one, like there's no 113, there's no 6, there's no 12, but there could be. Like I would actually put all those answers in there. Just see if you understand, because really the question is about understanding the meaning of around the edge. What is around the edge?
The
All
area?
right, so no, around the edge, you just said is the circumference, and it is. If you go around the edge, that's the
Never mind. I thought
circumference.
you were asking a separate question.
Circumference is perimeter, perimeter is circumference. It's going around. Walk around, walk around. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at this one more time. Look here one more time, okay? And let's look at the new question here. And this is about the language. I mean, you're doing really well with the actual mechanics of the math, but we've got to like read the question, know what it's actually asking for. It says, which of the following expressions could be used to find the area of the bottom, and it really should say bottom half of the surface. So if this cuts it in half, okay, and we want the area down here.
So do we just take the area that I got and divide it by 2?
Yeah, yeah.
What did I get for the area again?
Right here, 113.4.
13.4 divided by 2. So 56.7.
Sure. Yeah, that would be correct. All right. Let's do one more of these and then we'll work backwards. So occasionally you get like we'll work on something different, some working backwards problems. So occasionally you get like this, like a bullseye type question. And what this 25 means is this 25 is the radius. Radius is 25. It's different color here. It's not really showing up. Radius is 25. Okay. This 10 represents the distance between these two. So this middle circle, which I'll draw in green here, this middle circle that I'm drawing in green, it has a radius of 35. Now, how did I come up with that? How did I get 35 from 25 and 10?
You had to add them.
You add them together, okay? Now, somewhere it says not to scale, and there's yet a third circle here. And it has a radius. That's the sum of these three numbers, 25, 10, and 5. So it's got a radius of 40. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's find the circumference. Let's find the circumference of each of these. So let's start with the smallest one, this middle one. What is the formula for circumference?
$188.4.
Okay, so I was asking you to just give me the formula for circumference. That's pi times
Oh,
diameter.
never mind. I thought you were telling me to give you the circumference.
And then I wanted to do it for the smallest one. So the smallest one is 25, but is that the diameter of the smallest one? What's the diameter of the smallest circle?
25.
Nope, that's the radius.
Oh.
It's 50. I mean, that's how you came up with your answer.
25 times 50. I couldn't remember if it was the dividing or the multiplying one. I had to look at what I wrote down.
Okay, so could you do this calculation for us, please?
Times 50. 150. Is it 157?
Sure. Yeah. So 157. What are the units of that? Actually,
Does
they don't
it?
give any units. They don't give any
Oh,
units. Never mind. Predisposed to ask for that. All right. So now for the green circle, can you clearly see the green circle here? What is its circumference?
135. No, 10. I can't read those green numbers.
Okay. So the radius is 25 plus 10, which is 35. So calculate the circumference for a radius of 35.
$110.25.
Okay, what did you use for the diameter?
35.
But that's the radius. Radius is 35. So what is the diameter? Radius is 35.
70.
What is 70? Good. Yeah, so those are the right numbers. What does that become?
219.8.
Okay, so maybe 220. Now let's do it for the last one for the blue.
$251.2.
Sounds good. Sounds like you used 80 as the diameter. Very good. Okay. All right. So with the time we have left here, we're going to go back and do some square and rectangle stuff. So if you remember with a square, we'll start with a square. The perimeter of a square was 4 times the side length, like 4x. Okay. Or you have to add them all up, right? And then the area of a square was x squared, or x times x, base times height. You remember that from last time?
I think so.
Okay. So if not, I'd recommend getting this down in your notes because we're going to do a couple of problems here with this. It'd be helpful for you to refer back to the formulas.
And then rectangles was like the same, except for 2 of the sides were different and 2 of them weren't.
Slightly different formulas, but essentially the same idea, base times height, and then you add up all the sides.
Okay.
Okay, so here's an example problem for you. I'm going to give you a square here. I'll tell you that the side length is 6 centimeters. I want you to find the perimeter and the area, please.
Perimeter 24
What are the units of that?
centimeters.
Okay,
The area would be 36 centimeters.
but not the correct units. What are the units of area? Feel free
I
to
don't
look
know.
back in your. Okay, well, we just did a bunch of these today. What are the units of
Square.
area? Yes.
It's the same for squares.
It's always square. It doesn't matter what the shape is. Okay, very good. Now, what we're going to do now are what are called working backwards problems. Okay. So now let's say I give you a square and I tell you that the perimeter is 28 meters. Okay. What is the side length? So working backwards means I'm giving you the answer. Like I'm telling you what the perimeter is. You have to use that to figure out what the 4 sides are.
Would you have to divide it by 4?
Yes.
7?
7, what? What are the units of side length?
M?
Meters. Okay, so what would the area be?
7 meters squared? No. Wait, that's not the area. What? 49
What is
meters
the formula
squared.
for area of a square?
Is it 49 meters squared?
Yes. Okay, so let's look at one more problem here. Let's say again, I give you a square. All the sides are the same, but this time I tell you that the area is 64 inches squared. Okay,
Would I do the same thing?
well, this time I'm giving you the area. What did I give you in the last problem?
Perimeter, but if it's still multiplication, would I undo it by dividing?
You,
Right?
you are multiplying, but it's you're you're essentially squaring. It's two numbers that multiply by itself to get to 64. And sometimes guess and check's a good approach. You know, like you to get 49, you multiplied 7 times 7. Well, what two numbers multiply together to give you 64? That are the same.
Maybe like 8. Oh.
So the side length is 8. What are the units of that? 8.
Does it have to be exact though?
Inches.
Because in 9, no. I'm confused.
We'll
How
check.
do you
Use your
how do you
calculator, check.
change the area back to the sides? How do you figure out? Is there an easy way to
Good.
figure out the square of something?
Yes, right here. It's the formula. Formula is x squared. X squared equals 64. How do you undo squares? Square root. So what would the perimeter be in this square?
64? No. Uh, that's
You have to use your formulas. You have to have those right next to you and say, okay, perimeter is this formula, area is this
32
formula. 32, what are the units of that?
inches.
Inches, good. All right, very good. Go ahead and stop here for today.